you, Councilman Catch. How you doing?
Fine.
It's good. So we'll get started. Starting with Ed Blades. You want to talk to us about Bill 1321 and 1621?
Okay. Good afternoon, Mr. Chairman, members of the council. The administration is requesting supplemental appropriations on the attached two bills. This will be a supplemental appropriation from unassigned general fund balance. For the first bill, it is in the amount of $25 million for other post-employment benefits, which you all also know as OPEB. The forecasted revenue shortfalls in the development of the FY 2021 operating budget forced us to make budget reductions throughout the county. One reduction was the funding of the OPEB contribution to the FY 2020 appropriation level of $35 million, roughly 70 to 100 million below the actual PAYGO amount needed to fund the annual benefit cost. The administration in implementing a multi-year strategy to reach PAYGO funding, and without action, our consultant Bolton Partners forecast that the OPEB fund will run out of money in FY 2025. Since many revenue shortfalls forecasted last year were not realized, and the county received nearly 50 million more, or is forecasted to receive nearly 50 million more in income taxes than forecasted, we are asking for the authority to increase the FY 21 appropriation to OPEB fund to help us continue our strategy to reach PAYGO funding.
Sounds like a great idea to me. Any questions or comments from any of the members? To me, this is good news.
Okay.
Move right along to Bill 1621.
Sure. The second bill, the administration is requesting the approval of supplemental appropriation from unassigned general fund balance in the amount of $2.6 million for the Department of Public Works. The appropriation will be distributed as follows. 1.3 million for storm emergencies to offset expenditures that exceeded the appropriation due to the FY 20 or calendar year rather 20 and 21 winter storm season. $800,000 in costs associated with the Wheelabrator Baltimore settlement to resume solid waste going to the Bresco facility, and $500,000 for the material recycling facility in Cockeysville. Due to the COVID-19 pandemic, the county suspended the use of detention center inmates for processing recyclables, and we are now doing that with temporary staff to keep the recycling operations moving forward.
Okay. Any questions or comments from the members? Thank you, Mr. Blades.
All right, thank you very much.
Sure. Moving right along to page 1, Bill 1421, Chief Joanne Run. Page 1, Bill 1421, Chief Joanne Run.
Good afternoon, everyone. Is Marcus on this? There should have been a correction that was sent over to have Marcus Johnson speak on this. If not, I can certainly cover it.
Yes, Chief Ron.
I'm here.
Division Chief is on.
Thank you very much. I'm here to support him. Thank you, Councilman Jones.
You're welcome. You like the way I did the repeat?
Yes, sir, I do.
All right, can
Chief
everyone
Johnson?
hear me? Hey, how you doing, sir? Can everyone hear me? I'm having a couple of audio issues over here.
Yeah, we hear you fine.
Perfect. Good evening, everyone. I kind of missed out on what you guys were saying because I had completely lost reception, but I'll just get back right into our bill, which is going to be the adoption of the 2021 Baltimore County Fire Prevention Code. As many of you know, the code cycle is triannually, so every 3 years we have to adopt a new version of the code. Unfortunately, we should have adopted previously, but because of COVID, everything was pushed back. So we're trying to get the code adopted so we can get in line with the Maryland State Fire Prevention Code and follow along that. the major things within this, there's not a lot in here, but the major thing in here that was done at the request of the the Maryland State Fire Marshal was the removal of the waiver system for high-rise residentials. As many of you know, we are sitting number 2 for fire deaths in the state. This is another way to try to get those numbers down. We're not sure where this waiver came from, but we're trying to right a wrong. And with us having this waiver in place, we are actually below the minimum of the state fire prevention code, which is not allowed. So we're just trying to bring everything into compliance for the 3 buildings that will be affected. We're going to allow roughly 12 years for them to get into compliance. So there will not be a major impact to them right now initially. And we'll be able to work with them. And I'm comfortable to say that even if they're showing progress on bringing the building up to code, we can work on measures to even extend that out as long as we're seeing some type of effort. That is the major thing that is within this bill. And also we switched up our language for single family dwellings and what is considered a single family dwelling. Our mission with that was to be able to increase the group home increase the group home structure to allow us to begin to put some more facilities in place for our citizens with substance abuse problems. Right now, the code really doesn't define them, and the definition of it is a bit stringent, which then pushes our citizens that do have the substance abuse problems to our neighboring jurisdictions when they can be treated in county. So by us increasing our numbers to consider these structures single-family homes, that allow for more to be in place. Those are the major things. I'm not sure if anyone has any questions for me on this piece of legislation.
Well, maybe some.
Sure.
What on that last item in terms of increasing the number of these type facilities to Baltimore County, how many do you anticipate the increase being? Have any idea?
I do not have that. I do not have that number.
Okay. Any questions or comments from the members?
Yes, Mr. Chair.
Yes, go right ahead.
Marcus and Chief Rund, 2 of the 3 high rises are in the 2nd district. Is that correct?
That's correct.
And I think we had discussions about the possibility of the county looking at if there were any 0 interest or very low interest loan programs to help the residents of these 2 high rises out. I know there's a 12-year period to get adequate fire protection in there, and I'm not questioning the need for that to be in place. I wanted to put it out there as I have in the past about if the county is able to offer any assistance in the form of 0 interest loan programs for the installation of sprinkler systems.
Are you asking me that question, sir?
Not necessarily. I'm putting it out there. I see we have our county administrative officer, our budget director, and I know the discussion that we had was in isolation of, it was just, council member and members of the fire department, and there was no one in that discussion that had capability to make budget decisions of this magnitude, as I understand it.
Mr. Chairman, I'm happy to address this topic with Council Member Patoka if can be acknowledged.
Sure, go right ahead.
Good afternoon, Council Member Patoka and members of the council. We are more than willing to research this issue, because I'm sure we're not the only jurisdiction that is encountering this phenomenon in terms of needing to go back and retrofit facilities with sprinkler systems. So we're happy to research it, happy to benchmark and provide some updated information. Chief Rund, if you have knowledge, because I recall when we were talking about this situation, something being said about the ability to do small portions at a time, as long as we move forward by a certain point in time. But could you elaborate on that? But Councilmember Patoka, to answer specific your question, but yes, we are absolutely willing to research to see if there are some low interest or long-term interest loans that we could bring to bear for residents to address this.
Thank you, Ms. Rogers. I just wanted to make sure that that all the decision makers were included in that discussion. And I think it's something that, it's mostly seniors that live in those two buildings.
Correct.
I don't know that they have the wherewithal to take on the additional fiscal burden, since many are on fixed incomes.
Mm-hmm. But Chief Rund, we not have a similar discussion, or at least from the standpoint of how this is playing out in other jurisdictions, with the respect of at least our getting started, and then the long-term period for having this done?
Thank you, Madam CAO. Yes, and Mr. Chair and council members. Yes, ma'am, we did have a discussion with regarding this. I also put the locations in contact with a gentleman that could possibly assist them with looking at any loans that are out there with regards to installation of sprinklers. So we're definitely doing everything that we can. The fire marshal is simply looking for us to come up with in compliance. This gives them 12 years. Our goal is to get them moving in the direction before that 12 years drops down to 9, which is next year, which we're very fearful of. So we just need to get them moving forward in making this effort. And I'm positive that the state fire marshal will work with them as long as they are continuing to show progress in this installation process.
Thank you.
And I'm sure we can set up a meeting with him if you would feel better about that, Councilman Patoka. We can certainly set up a meeting with the state fire marshal with that as well.
Well, I have confidence in the fire marshal. I just wanted to explore the possibility of. I think the idea of phasing is a really good one.
Yeah.
And in any way we can ease the financial burden on the residents of these two senior high rises.
And Councilmember Patoka, that is exactly why we're trying to get everything moving, so that we have evidence of due diligence, so we preserve the 12 years versus 9 years. When it was presented to us, that was our biggest concern. So we have the full 12 years to phase it in over time.
Thank you.
Can I touch on one more point real quick with respect to the 12 years? That's the importance of us getting this code adopted now, because the state has already begun to work on the next code cycle, which the intent is going to be to reduce that time down to 9 years. Then the following cycle, it'll be 6, and then 3 until compliance is required immediately. So because of the fact that they are already working on the next version of it, that may reduce our time down significantly if we do not get this passed. So our goal is to get them the maximum amount of time, which is that 12 years.
Thank you, Marcus.
Yes, sir.
Okay, any additional questions or comments? Move right along to page 3, Bill 1521, Colonel Dennis Bell.
Good afternoon, Council Chairperson and Council members. I'm going to be asking for a supplemental appropriation in the amount of $45,000 has been made to the Baltimore County Police Department by the Coronavirus Emergency Supplemental Funding Program through the Governor's Office of Crime Control and Prevention. This request is for Council's approval to accept and appropriate the $45,000 in funding. The Police Wellness Initiatives Grant will be utilized by the department to invest in a wellness application for smartphones to proactively support officer wellness and provide confidential self-assessments and service connections for times of crisis. Licensing this wellness application for use on officers' existing cell phones will provide on-demand access to professional services and training in a private confidential setting on a 24-hour, 365-day basis.
Thank you very much, Colonel. Always good to see you. Any
too.
questions or comments?
Just this application will be very effective for obviously the problems and stress and the PTSD and the cumulative stress over the past year with the coronavirus and all the accumulated occupational and personal stressors that the first responders have went through. So we appreciate you considering it.
Well, we certainly appreciate our public safety personnel, especially our police officers and firefighters, and we know that wellness is extremely important. Very, very important. So any questions or comments? Anybody have a problem with free $45,000 to help our law enforcement officers? Councilman Crandall, you do? You're muted, sir. Unmute, Crandall.
I'm sorry, Mr. Chair. No, I don't have a problem with the bill. I think it's a small price to pay to help out our officers that undergo things that a lot of us don't hear about, but can certainly cause some psychological issues and the stress of the job. I think that we're in working with our police department. We certainly understand what some of those pressures are. So again, I think it's a small price to pay. But Colonel, if I could ask of you to relay this to Chief Hyatt and your brothers and sisters in blue. We had a horrific series of events, as you're aware, early Sunday morning. I was actually on the scene in Essex mid-morning on Sunday, and was able to talk to a couple of officers. And I just want to speak for our entire community in just expressing our appreciation for the professionalism and how that went about. It was a very confusing few hours, I'm sure. There were multiple scenes, and it just seemed to me that it was handled in the most professional way possible. And I think the community does appreciate how it was handled. And I know that things are still moving with investigation and all that, so I'm not going to go into it. But it's just another story of how our police department reacts to these unexpected and horrific things that somehow happen to our communities. And so, Colonel, if you could just pass that along, that we really do appreciate the work and how professional it was handled. Thank you.
Thank you so much, and I would definitely pass it on. Thank you for recognizing that.
Thank you, Councilman Crandall. It's no doubt about it. Every incident you go to, no matter how horrific, and these are things that our law enforcement and public safety personnel and many victims, they just never forget them, and they just accumulate in your head, and they're always there. And it's important that we provide the resources and the support to help people deal with it. And like I said, they're always there. Any additional questions or comments? Thank you, Colonel.
Thank you.
Moving right along to page 6, contract, 2 contracts. Ms. Deborah Schindel from Property Management.
Happy spring, Councilman Chair and members of the council. It's so good to see you today.
It's good to see you as well. It seems like a month of Sunday since we've seen you.
I know, but the weather is cooperating, so that's a good thing. I do have 2 contracts that I wanted to bring to you today. The first one is the administration's requesting an approval for a contract with Honeywell International, Inc., and that is to maintain the building automation systems, which are hardware and software that is used to operate and control building HVAC systems at 8 different facilities. The estimated compensation total is $796,443 for the entire 5-year and 4 months term, including any renewal and extension period. This contract is very important. It is a sole source due to the fact that it is a software program. However, I want to assure you that when we originally put them in the building, it was competitively bid that way. And it is very important for us. They will be providing maintenance for each of our BAS systems in all of the buildings that we have identified, so that if something goes down, it can be repaired very quickly. And it also helps us manage our HVAC systems off-site so that we can first look in our computers to see what's wrong with it. And then if we can't fix it on the computer, we actually then send someone out. So it's a great benefit to Baltimore County. And I was wondering if you had any questions in regards to this.
I certainly do not. Does any of the members have any questions or comments?
Mr. Chair, I don't have a comment, but I think we lost Councilman Tatch.
Oh,
Lost them?
Yeah, there's some kind of animal that looks like a cat.
It's Councilman Patoka. It's the wrong side of that animal to be facing the camera too.
You are so correct, my friend from the 7th District. Sorry, Mr. Chair.
That's okay. That's okay. Hey, Shendel? It seems like there's no questions about the $796,000 contract. I won't get into it now. I'll talk to you offline about one concern I have. I don't think necessarily talk about it now. Let's move right along to the second contract.
sure, no problem, sir. You can
Landscape.
and no problem. The second contract we'd like to bring before you is the administration is requesting approval of 3 contracts to provide on-call landscaping services at county-owned facilities. The 3 contracts are with Classic Lawn and Landscaping, with Lorenz Lawn and Landscaping, and Mac Landscaping, which is otherwise known as Rooted in Nature. The compensation for all contractors combined may not exceed $1,804,892 within the life of the 5-year term contract. This was competitively bid, and that we actually had numerous vendors that had qualified, but these were the prevailing and acceptable bids. One of the auditor's questions for us was, how do we intend to utilize this contract? And I assure you that we are working very closely. And when we have a project that we want to get done, we will bring all 3 of them in to give us a price quote and the hourly rate so that we can ensure Baltimore County is getting the best service and also the price possible.
So let me make sure I understand. You're saying that 3 people did it, 3 contracts, 3 companies did it. Is that right?
There were actually more than 3, but we
But
are
this time-
awarding 3.
Okay, all right. And one other question was, you said this is for county-owned building and not buildings occupied or owned by council members. Is that right?
So this is for any buildings that we are, that property management.
That's correct, Councilman.
Yeah.
That's correct.
Okay. I'm just checking.
Okay.
I'm sorry I threw you a curve.
I'm like, anything that we're responsible for, sir.
Sometimes I joke a little bit. Sometimes
No
I joke a
problem.
lot. So any additional questions or comments? All right, no questions or comments. Thank you very much, Ms. Shinder. It was always a pleasure seeing you.
Thank you, sir. I look forward to talking to you offline.
All right, thank you. Next, moving on to page 14, Ms. DeAndrea Walker, roll-off container.
Good
Very
afternoon,
important topic.
Chairman
Good afternoon.
and council members. The administration is requesting approval of 6 contracts to provide roll-off containers as needed for our county's community cleanup program. The 6 containers are Atlantic Maintenance Group, AVW, which is Apple Valley Waste of Maryland, A2Z, Pocket Enterprise, Northwest Recycling, and the Good Company. Each contract will commence upon council approval and continues for 1 year and will renew automatically for 4 additional 1-year periods with the option to extend the initial or any renewal term an additional 120 days. The contracts do not specify a maximum compensation amount for the initial 1 year or for the entire 5-year term, including the renewal and extension periods. However, compensation for the 6 contracts combined with all other contracts providing these services is limited to the amount appropriated for these services during the entire contract term, which is estimated to be for the first year, $225,000 and $1.2 million for the entire 5-year, 4-month period. This was a competitive low bid procurement. And again, it is for our community cleanup program, what we normally call dumpster days.
Well, those days are very important to the communities and extremely popular. And we certainly appreciate all your work to keep this program going. Any comments or questions from the members?
Mr. Chairman?
Yes, go right ahead.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. I echo your comments. This is a very popular program in all of our neighborhoods. DeAndrea, are there any slots left for community organizations through this fiscal year? Is there any openings still?
I believe there are, sir.
Okay, good. Because I've had some community associations that are reforming and now they're interested in this. So I'll send them your way, okay?
Okay, no problem.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Any additional comments?
Yes, Mr. Chair.
Yes, go right ahead.
Thank you. Ms. Walker, I just want to, I want to thank you. I can't thank you enough for providing those dumpsters on Friday at Baltimore Hebrew Congregation. It was really an unbelievable event. Passover started Saturday night, and so this is kind of a hard word. Hummus, Councilman Crandall, is food that is not kosher for Passover. And so residents in the community brought partially used, and I'll say this word again so we can practice it, hummus, and dumped it out. And stuff that was unopened, non-perishables, was then transferred. And so it was a great community event where we transferred 200 boxes of food from one community to another. So the 2 recipients of the 200 boxes of food were one was Iglesias de Diaz during their food distribution, and the other one was Salem Methodist. And so it was really the community coming together, communities of different faiths working together, trying to address the needs of this pandemic, the needs of families. And I just wanted to make sure that our administrative officer knew, and my colleagues on the council and the chair, that they're aware of what a great job you did and the community benefit that resulted of it.
Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you, Councilman Paterka, for that acknowledgement.
You're quite welcome.
To the staff.
Any additional questions or comments? All right, thank you very much, Ms. Walker. Moving right along to page 19 is Amy Grassi.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chairman, members of the council. The administration is requesting approval of a contract for $30,000. Hold on, pulling up $30,923 with 6115 Falls Road Professional Center LLC for permanent drainage and utility easement areas, as well as temporary construction easements for their 16.5-inch water main replacement along the Falls Road corridor in the Mount Washington area. This is the appraised value of those areas. And I believe we are close to completing all the acquisitions if this isn't the last one for this project.
All right. Thank you very much, Ms. Grassi. Any questions or comment from the members? All right, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Let's see here. Mr. Boswick, do you want to talk about the non-competitive awards on the miscellaneous business?
Mr. Chairman, those are announcements that I'll make at the legislative session on April 5th, sir.
Okay, thank you very much. So I believe this will do it for today's work session.
We have a couple of resolutions, I think.
Okay. Now, let me see here. Start with, okay, we'll go with Steve Lafferty, page 22, resolution 34-21.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman and members of the council. The Department of Planning requests approval of resolution 34-21 to approve and prioritize 5 FY 2022 rural legacy area applications to be submitted to the Maryland Rural Legacy Program. We're proud that all 5 of the rural legacy area initiatives within the county have been very successful at working with landowners to acquire easements. And with your permission, I'd like to have Megan Benjamin provide a few more of the details regarding this resolution, Mr. Chairman.
Sure, go right ahead.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chairman and members of council. My name is Megan Benjamin. As Director Lafferty mentioned, we are seeking your approval of this resolution. As background, and which I believe most of you are familiar with, the Rural Legacy Program is a state-funded program with the purpose to combat sprawl development and expedite the preservation of large blocks of natural resources and working lands. The state requires local jurisdictions with 2 or more rural legacy areas to provide a ranking of the areas for their consideration. The department ranked our rural legacy areas based on completion of projects, environmental protection, public benefits, threat, and sponsor input. The county ranking will be incorporated into the state selection process, and the ranking being proposed is Piney Run, Rural Legacy Area, followed by Gunpowder Valley, then Manor, and tied for 4th, Long Green, and the Coastal Rural Legacy Area.
Okay, thank you very much. Any questions or comment? All right, thank you very much. Moving right along to page 25, resolution 35-21. Mr. James Benjamin.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chair, members of the council. Resolution 35-21 seeks approval of the continuation of the local state of emergency initially declared by the county executive on March 13th, 2020 in response to the COVID-19 pandemic. On March 13th, 2020, the county executive declared a state of emergency existing in Baltimore County due to COVID-19. On March 16, 2020, the county council authorized a continuation of that state of emergency with the approval of resolution 37-20. The council has subsequently authorized a continuation of the state of emergency, most recently with the approval of resolution 24-21, which is set to expire April 5th, 2021. Resolution 35-21 declares that it's likely the state of emergency will continue beyond April 5th, 2021, and authorizes the continuation of the state of emergency for an additional 30 days beyond April 5th, 2021, ending on May 5th, 2021, or when the county executive declares an end to the state of emergency, whichever occurs first. I should note that a state of emergency was proclaimed by Governor Hogan on March 5th, 2020, and was most recently renewed March 18th, 2021. So the state of emergency issued by Governor Hogan is still in effect. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Benjamin. Any questions or comments?
Yes, Mr. Chair.
Yes, go right ahead, Councilman Patoka.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and thank you, Mr. Benjamin. I think it's critically important that we approve the continuation. I think that if, what we're reading is there's a fourth spike that's occurring nationally, and our numbers are going in the wrong direction right here in Maryland. So I think we need to remain vigilant, not only on the state of emergency, but with our masking and social distancing and the way we carry ourselves in a crowd. So I think it's really important that we extend the state of emergency. So thank you, Mr. Benjamin.
Thank you,
Thank you.
Councilman Patoka. Any additional questions or comments?
Quick question, Mr. Chairman.
Yes, go right ahead, Councilman Marks.
Thank you very much. Timonium Fairgrounds is being converted into a state center. If anyone from the administration can answer their thoughts on this, how it will affect our ongoing operations. And before you answer that, again, I want to thank all those county workers and volunteers who have been doing a very good job administering these doses. But I'm just curious your thoughts on the conversion of the fairgrounds.
Mr. Chair, I'm happy to provide comment if can be acknowledged.
Go right ahead.
Councilmember Marks, thank you for that question, because that was indeed all of our questions as well. It's my understanding from the team and Dr. Branch that there should be no adverse impact with how we operate at Timonium Fairgrounds. The benefit to this effort is that more doses of vaccine will be provided for administering vaccine here in the county. The operation itself, since we have been acknowledged as a highly effective operation, will not change. I did personally ask Dr. Branch about our ability to ensure that county residents who are on our registration list will be fed into this as it has been in the past, and he advised that that would be the case. So we should not, based on what has been described about our operation, because we're transitioning to a mass vax site, we will still operate our site as we have been.
Yeah, and I suppose we're getting to a point now in the late spring where, with the availability of doses, it's more of a matter of getting people vaccinated who don't want to be vaccinated than getting those people who need doses actually to the sites, correct?
Well, for right now, it's not. We still have a number of individuals on the list as we're going through this process. So we know we moved to here in the county to 1C, which means 65-year-olds and older. So we're still working through those individuals who had not received their appointment as of yet, which that number is coming down. But then we also have what is defined as essential employees. Here in the county, we have defined county employees as essential employees, and we, the internal reopening government work group that I chair, are gearing up to ensure that our county employees who need vaccinations get them as well. We had to wait until we got to level 1C of the state vaccine distribution plan in order to do that. We have about 5,000 employees, county government employees who need to be vaccinated, that we're working with Dr. Branch and his team to integrate into the community, the community pods. So we've got enough people, but we are advised, and I'm cautiously optimistic that everything's going to run just as it has been.
Gotcha. Okay, thank you.
Well, I tell you, it certainly has been a very well-run organization, and everyone I talk to and everyone who goes there will say the same. So thank you very much, Ms. Rogers. Any additional questions or comments?
That's why we don't want to change it, because it's working well.
That's right. Okay. Is that it, Mr. Boswell? I do believe.
I do believe you are correct, Mr. Chair. That's the last one.
All right. Well, thank you, everyone. Get out, enjoy some of this beautiful weather, and be safe. And we'll see you next week. Everybody, take care.